I'm going to turn this over to a man who wears two hats for Boog, the printed matter editor for our website and the Poets Theater booker for our festivals, Mr. Bill Considine.
Actor writer Ronnie Norpel loves baseball, rock and roll, Andy Warhol, and plastic surgery. Most recently, she hosted the eclectic Tract 187 Culture Clash on the Upper Left Side. Sometime earlier, she and her dancing partner caused hell to freeze over in Hollywood. Ronnie's next written work is true crime with a mem-noir twist about her childhood friend, Sister Kathy. With love in perpetuity to all ye Tract stars, now batting cleanup and celebrating the 10th anniversary of her Tract 187 Culture Clash, starring in Radvertisements for My Selfie, please welcome Veronica Noir-pel.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Jilly didn't force me to call the authorities. She knew me better than that. To say we were running buddies in Hollywood wouldn't cover the half of it. LA County is a vast metropolis. We were introduced by mutual friends at a casual indoor cookout at a garden apartment just north of Sunset near the DGA. Within a cocktail minute, we were friends for life. East Coast sporty smarts and skilled gate crashing stories sealed the instant. A few months later, we were on stage at Club Lingerie with David Lee Roth's Mad Blues Man, Top Jimmy, and his Rhythm Pigs. Jimmy had personally escorted us to the Hollywood Playmates shop down the block from Frederick's and even paid for our matching fringe skirts. We supplied the cowboy boots. Best teammate ever. The fringed skirts got a good shaking back then, but it was me who was shaking now. I couldn't shake the retrograde fear I felt ever since I had binged the series. I shuddered every time I recalled my mother's throwing Aunt ML under the priest-nun sex murder bus. I double shuddered to think of the sinfluence that guy had on me, on all of us. I found myself vigilant for any follow-up news about the docuseries. I began to understand why I'd felt odd emo aftershocks in the years since DA Lynn Abraham's report out of Philadelphia. I dug out my contemporaneous reflection on how we might heal from the Archdiocese's twisted game of pass the prelate. I initiated an email conversation with my mother. The phone rang. These days, that 3-word sentence is bested only by Jesus wept. The phone rang. In the old days, that sentence would be followed by the dame said hello. But these days, we can see who is calling. Their name pops up in our face grill on our cell block phone. The phone rang. In the old days, the man of the house brought the first telephone home and the other man came and they installed it. Then they instructed us to never touch it. It will only bring bad news. Hell, oh. The phone rings and we may pick up or not. And when one or the other consistently does not pick up, that is called ghosting. Then there is holy ghosting, which for better and for worse is what this story is about. But we'll get to that. The phone rang. It was Jilly. When I first told her what was up with this shit, her locale was a bracing chaser. Of course, eventually I would get down there to see her. Mama Joyce had other plans. Mom's gone. Oh, baby girl, I'm so sorry. When's the last Friday? I'm sorry I didn't call you sooner. It's been a little. The viewing is Friday night. Just let me know. I'm on the bus. Stanley can pick you up in the morning. It was Wednesday afternoon. Jilly knows I'm killer on short notice and ever grateful for a lift. She gave me just enough time to pack without thinking too hard and arranged a ride besides. Best teammate ever. And her birthday was Sunday. I love you, Jilly. So sorry. Your mom. So cool. See you Friday, sis. Damn. Mama Joyce! I had a good cry for all of them as soon as I hung up. Like Dad, Mama Joyce had been on the health fence for the past few years. Age can just chip away at you like that. The good death comes and grabs you. Hope I die before I get old. I thought of John Entwistle and Top Jimmy. I cried some more. Then I laughed. Holy shit! Called to Baltimore for the great lady's funeral. I always got these feelings about things. Mama Joyce was making sure I got down there sooner rather than eventually, and she was not one to argue with. Nephew Stanley made the road trip easy. We were across the GWB by 9 and stopped for snacks and gas on the Jersey side. He loves to chat, and I'm all ears at that hour, so we had a quick time of it. We shared many laughs considering our destination. A couple times, though, we caught ourselves out. You know how you do when you are enjoying yourself, and then you again remember your destination. Ashes to ashes, bitches. There are also those natural lulls in any road trip gab fest. In those moments, my mind drifted against the scenery whizzing by. It was already 2 years ago since I had started processing, let's call it, my association with that story. Dad had died less than 2 months after it dropped on Netflix. I don't pad my resume, and these are no chicken cutlets. I pushed up the B cups and tossed my boob job from God in his direction. Had them installed after I left Hollywood, courtesy of the Big C. I mean, while everybody's throwing their tough guy cred around. I laughed. Smartly, he did too, whether he wanted to or not. I held up one peace sign and then the other. V for Villanova, V for victory. The frame paper behind his desk had a big Navy G on it. I wasn't wearing my distance specs, but from where I was sitting, it looked like BS, a BS in psychology. James Bond, Junior Jesuit Division, shot me a look, but forgot to load his eyeballs. Seriously, what the hell's a Hoya? Don't tell me you are a Nova cheerleader. Half. My dad was a wildcat and took us kids to the best ever rockets as sweaty as all get out in the upper deck time at the Palestra against St. Joe's. Fast break, I ended up working for Buck the bartender of Bulletin fame at the Big Five. The first time Villanova won the national championship that March, it really was madness. I watched my brothers. Oh man, what was I thinking? The team Villanova beat that year was Georgetown. How did I space out on that one? Well, at least he knows I'm sincerely not paying attention. I became friends with one of their cheerleaders years later, but she's on drugs. I mean, she works in... Was she a blonde cheerleader, pharma? I've seen that Big Bang rerun. Penny! What is wrong with me? This guy is not even that good looking. Oh, right. There's nothing wrong with me. I was trained to entertain the silent Irish of the cliffs of terseness. Especially when I catch a whiff of suspicion. It makes me dance faster by mouth if I am sitting in a chair. I presidented Wharton Women when I was at Penn and played lacrosse on Franklin Field, went full-time with my hometown Phillies and got into capital T trouble with one of the dumb rookies. Fairly standard stuff until you factor in the family priest's influence. He was a big fan. Detective McKay tuned in. He liked sports, but he liked cracking cases even better, and this was such an old one. I quit the team and headed north. This city was strong medicine, and I quickly got why the Penn guys called it the city. If you didn't appreciate it, it would grind you into its gum-blotted sidewalks. I fell in with the Warholikinder and was curator of the first postmortem Andy show with the G, Gerard Malanga. When I told him at that first go-see that I had at 12 taken Gerard for my confirmation name, G dubbed me Ronnie Gerard. Then Uncle Andy paid my way to Hollywood, and I escaped the whip dancer, though he was dead by then. Andy was. I landed on stage with rock stars in Hollywood. I paused. McKay's face bore that familiar look which comes over people who suffer Warhol skepticism syndrome. Hold it, Mr. Hoya. You know Andy went to daily mass. I read that in his FBI file. Interesting guy. Lots of religious iconography. The Last Supper in camouflage. And Hitchcock was educated by the Jesuits. And Sherlock Holmes took cocaine. Where are you going with this, Miss Marple? I love me my Agatha, but I always took Miss Marple to be somewhat elderly. This case is 50 years old, but I prefer Brenda Noir. A lot of people have given up on black and white, right and wrong. These concepts were once clearly delineated. In fact, to even call them concepts was unnecessary. People just knew right from wrong in the old days. We were so spooked by the man in the sky looking over us, watching our every deed. Now, no one is afraid for the mortal soul of the guy in the sky, yet we forget. We are so heavily surveilled. We are being omnipresently watched. You sound like you have training. I had such good training. I've been untraining myself for decades. Untraining? Yes. And I have a double PhD from Clown College to prove it. You were down in Sarasota? You do the Ringling program? No Florida for me. Not since the '84 National League Series, which was played in San Diego. I need sunblock 80 if I go south of the Mason-Dixon. The clown who trained me was of the wormy variety up there in the Big Apple. My recovery from, let's call it his program, is one of the reasons I have come to talk to you. Thanks. Thank you, Bill, for booking me. Thank you, David, for doing the Boog City, and rock on all my fellow poets and musicians and friends, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, Veronica. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Our next poet playwright, Dorothy Cantwell.
Go, Dorothy.
Dorothy has worked as an educator, actor, and playwright. Active in New York City experimental theater in the 1980s, she was a co-founder of Robin Epstein's More Fire Productions, and she worked with many great downtown theater artists in venues that ranged from the Performing Garage to Broadway. Dorothy returns to the stage occasionally, most recently in a retrospective of Jeff Weiss's work at the Kitchen, and in Bill Considine's Persephone's Return and The Furies. Her work has been published in the Long Island Literary Journal, Brownstone Poets Anthology, Constellate Literary Journal, Flash Boulevard, Assisi, River, and South Review, and Poetry Bay. Coming up now in this part of a series called The Quilter Talks, the Quilter tries to make sense of gun culture in small-town America. Please welcome Dorothy Cantwell as the Quilter.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, David and Suzanne. This piece is called The Quilter Makes Her Grandson Lunch. And here she comes. Tuesday is Ladies' Day. That's what the sign said. You know, the blinking sign in front of the all-county indoor shooting range? That long rectangular metal building across from Dollar General and Lily's Nails. Tuesday is Ladies' Night. And then, blink, 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 have your bachelorette party here. And all of a sudden, well, it just wasn't funny anymore. I think of those people inside, the instructors, the guys oiling their guns, the red cups, beer bellies, and these colors don't run t-shirts, the ones with the long ponytails pulled back over bald spots, and then the whole bachelorette crowd with their perms and nails and couch potato asses, or the bony hip ones, you know, skinny from cigarettes and the meth. And I pictured all of them inside with their guns and ammunition. And well, all of a sudden, I wanted to get a gun too, take some lessons, start shooting. Suddenly, I wanted a gun. Because those people scare me. What are they shooting at in there anyway? Imaginary terrorists, imaginary hoodie-wearing criminals in Walmart parking lots? What are they, standing their ground against some imaginary burglar, climbing in their basement window to steal their 10-year-old computer and power tools? Oh, they must have posters all over the place. Posters of Muslims, posters of liberal, condescending talk show hosts, posters of, I didn't know, some failed candidate they just can't get over. And who would I pretend to shoot at anyway? Well, the memory of my ex, of course, and that dirtbag who beat up my daughter in high school. Yeah, he'd be on my list. And maybe those girls in back of me at Rite Aid, I think they were laughing at me. And Phil, when the hell is he going to fix my roof? Those people, you see them all the time. They're in the supermarkets carrying rifles like they're going to scare the cashiers, or the ones with the gun racks in back of their trucks riding around on their way to nowhere. But they're still in such a hurry that they tailgate me and try to run little old ladies like me off the road. Those are the ones. Those are the ones that they scare me, and they make me mad. Is that what they want? Me with a gun? Is that what they fucking want? I hate guns. I hate them. I never really wanted one. The look of them just makes me sick. I never had any desire to use one. And to tell the truth, I don't have much regard for gun owners either. Even the hunters, I'm sorry, Bambi killers. And I know all about the deer overpopulation problem and the death of a deer compared to a death of a steer in a slaughterhouse, and the health benefits of venison. Well, I make a good venison stew myself. It's not that. It is those people. It is their idea of fun. It's the idea that they would consciously go out and find a beautiful living creature that poses no threat and decide that it would give them pleasure to go out and kill it and watch it die. For fun. For fun. What, for a spurt of pleasure? I just can't respect it. The idea it would be so pleasurable to kill another living thing that you'd want to go and do it again. And then you want to go and do it again with friends. Oh. I pray sometimes that I would never have to look at something I've killed, even by accident, die in front of me. I would like to leave this life with ever having seen that. And I think people who want to see that, they are either sick in the head or pathetic losers, overcompensating small men. And I know you're going to ask me about fishing, and I have thought about fishing. Well, fishing. I think fishing, there is some sort of randomness and weird kind of choice involved. I mean, that fish has some intention to take a smaller life when he chomps on your hook. And it's not like you cornered him or tracked him down. And have you ever seen a bluefish feeding frenzy? You see this boil of fish, and the bluefish are savaging all these little tiny fish. And then they are vomiting up their guts so they can mangle. They are not even hungry anymore. So I think, well, bluefish. Fuck the bluefish. Instinct or not, they deserve what they get. But a tree nibbling doe, that must be some sort of sin. Unless, of course, you're going to freeze the meat, take it home, feed your family all winter. I mean, that's why you're doing it, right? You're not doing it because you want to see something die. Because death, honey, is the real thing. No, you're my sweet little grandson. You slept in that bed with that puppy till he was way too big. And when you were little, you always wanted a wabbit, a pet wabbit, oh, so much. That's who you are. That's who you still are. No, I'm not a vegetarian or anything like that. I am going to enjoy this ham sandwich with mustard on this brown bread and pickle, and I'm packing 2 for you. And also, I'm going to pack a thermos of lemonade because you remember what I told you about beer in the woods? I have a feeling that some of these hunters drink. Oh, this is going to be such a good meal. So, hey, you must say it's a little hypocritical to feel the way I do about hunting, and you'd probably be right, but I certainly don't get pleasure out of the fact that a pig has to die so I can have this lunch. I don't think, ooh, I want to see that. There are people who do, you know? There are people who really, really want to see something die. At a country fair where I was selling my quilts, I saw this little rectangular building. It was white inside and out, big windows and bleachers right in front. And I didn't know what it was. And then I saw the sign. Pig slaughtering, 1 o'clock. Pig quartering, 1:15. Sausage making, 1:30. And I guess that 1:45, they had to hose it all down for the next pig. It was kind of in the back, not a main attraction, but people could watch. I mean, there were bleachers. People could bring their children to see that. Their children. Well, now I think about it, at my wedding feast, we had a roast pig on a spit with an apple in his mouth, so who am I to talk, right? What was I thinking? Sometimes I don't think I could live in this world one more moment. I don't know, maybe it's biblical. The idea that God would love you more if he saw you slice open the throat of a little lamb. Can you get me a gun, honey, and teach me how to shoot? I promise I won't do anything innocent, you know, and I'm not going to lie and say I need it for protection. Although, you know, those crazies ever bust out of that tin can, hit the street with their guns. Talk about a can of worms. It could happen, I think. I think it could happen. It makes me so mad. It just makes me so mad that I'm feeling this way. I mean, the only people benefit from all this is the NRA or the gun manufacturers, because every time, the more we want each other dead, the more we want to kill each other, the richer they get. Blood on their hands and cha-ching, coins in their pocket. But I think I have to do it. Just don't you be at the shooting range this weekend. I would be ashamed to have you see me. Thank you.
So great.
Thank you, Dorothy. That was wonderful.
Killing it.